Hello, family, friends, relatives, YouTubers, subscribers, students. This is Janak Bhagat. Today I come with a small video on, rather it's like a discussion with my students that I've had, and for my future students and whoever may face this issue that we're going to talk about. Reiki is a universal life force energy. So that means that it can fit in any category of healing. So what happens is that when somebody comes for a particular type of healing to you, because now you are the Reiki healer, someone comes to you for a healing, there is a specific thread that is going to connect you with this person and the Reiki energy. Similarly, when you yourself are doing the healing for yourself, that same thread is connecting you to the Reiki energy. Now, what happens is we normally face challenges every time we do a Reiki healing, or any sort of healing for that matter, whether it be for a physical ailment, whether it be for a spiritual problem, whether it be a mental problem. There is a small period whereby the person who practiced the healing and the person who is receiving the healing are going to go through a certain process. So this process causes very many people to doubt Reiki energy. And this is where now I am going to be explaining to you what happens or why we start to doubt. For example, you are interested in Reiki and you find a teacher for Reiki, and you pray or you visualize or whatever you do, and you want to do it with this particular person. You go to them, you do the Reiki healing or the Reiki course with them, or even you have a session with them, or you just go meet them and talk to them. After some time, you begin to doubt whether this person is genuine or not, or whether this person was right or not, or whether this person's advice was right or not. Let's say even you pass through that process and you begin to say, I'm going to do a particular session with this teacher or with this healer. And then as you go through the healing, you start getting these doubts whether it is correct or not. So why do these doubts arise within ourselves? And yet we were so hard on going to this particular person. Why does the doubts arise? Why does our intuition or our thought process begin to doubt ourselves or the person doing the healing? In my little experience that I have had with Reiki energy especially, there is a process that it does, and this process is very important for the person that is receiving the healing. So for my students, this is, for example, if when you are practicing Reiki after the attunement, and if you start beginning to doubt yourself, the steps that you took to become a Reiki healer, the steps that you took to begin your journey, then you must begin to heal yourself very thoroughly. Because why do you doubt, or why is the doubt arising? What type of doubt is it? Number one. Number two, what are you doubting? Are you doubting yourself? Are you doubting the Reiki healing? Are you doubting the teacher? Are you doubting the whole process? These are 4 different types of doubts that are there. Or are you beginning to face a particular challenge that is uncomfortable for you, and so you begin to doubt the whole process, that why am I going through this, and yet I wanted to heal myself. So you want to heal yourself, so you have to go through a process, and that process may be challenging for you. So you cannot stop the healing midway, and rather do not stop it midway, because when you do, you are actually letting yourself down. You are breaking your own self-image by doing this, because you want to heal your part, that particular part, and then you start doubting yourself or your teacher or the healing or whatever modality you have done, and yet you are being thrown that process, because that is what is going to change you, right? That is what is going to be the enlightened part of the aspect of your life wherever there is darkness. And so you are healing that process. So that process will begin to make you face those challenges that you have been avoiding. And so when you begin to face those challenges, you will begin to doubt what you are doing. But in the whole process, you are actually healing that zone or that particular area of your life. And that is why these doubts arise. So you must be further than your doubts. You must be a step ahead than your doubts. And the only way this can be done is by being persistent and disciplined in your healing. This is the only way you will be able to process the healing. Otherwise, the healing will be pointless. And the doubts that will arise will make more suspicion on yourself, on the art, on the teacher, or on the students, or on the whole process of healing. And so we don't want that to happen, because as you can see, there are not very many Reiki healers out there. And this is the main particular reason. Whenever somebody does Reiki, they are going to face challenges that they have been avoiding. And once you are pushed in that zone, you start to doubt Reiki, you start to doubt the whole process. And so you start looking for other healing modalities whereby to justify that what your doubt was correct. But in the end of the day, the whole process was your healing, which didn't happen. And 10 years will go by, or 5 years will go by, and that issue is still there. It's still lingering in your head. While Reiki would have made you face that challenge and come out of that process. It may have taken 2 years or 3 years, but you would have come out of that process. And instead, what we would do is jump to another healing modality, or jump into another process, or completely forget about the healing modalities and just go to a therapist and get it done over with. But that Reiki was the one that made you think about a therapist, or it was the one that made you think about taking a step further, because it challenged you. It challenged your ego. It challenged your subconscious mind. Reiki does this in a very deep level, and if you are not aware of it as a Reiki healer or as a Reiki master who teaches people, you will face issues. And so you must be able to send this healing in this particular method, which I'm going to share now in a few minutes. So we'll do a small exercise in some time, but before that we still have to talk a bit more. So imagine the self-doubts that have been created, right? It's a cycle of self-doubts that why did I learn Reiki? Why did I do the session? Why did I do it with this teacher or with that teacher? What if my situation is worsening because of the healings? What if the healings are the ones that's creating more trouble for me? Why do I have to face all these challenges after doing healings and paying for them, for that matter? Why should I go through all this even after I pay for the healing? Well, all these doubts and questions arise in our mind after you do the healing. So we conclude that it was because of the healing, or it was because of the attunement, or it was because of the Reiki, or if it was because of this particular teacher that we are facing all these problems. So we conclude, our ego makes us conclude that it was this modality that has made our situation more worse, instead of being aware of the situation, that they have arisen because of this healing. Why have they arisen? Because you are supposed to challenge them, face them, and make proper adjustments to yourself so that you can aim at being a better person. Those were the things that were not making you who you want to be, right? That's why they have arisen, and so you have to challenge them. But we don't want to, because we don't want to face those things. So one way Reiki is actually bringing what you don't want to face. It is bringing there. It is also giving you the courage. But because we are in that cycle of not facing this issue, it becomes a very big challenge for us. Partly also, sometimes what happens is we go to the healing with the mentality that once the healing is done, all my problems will be solved, right? You won't have to face any of these issues, and next day I'll be perfectly fine. Well, it's not like that. You have to face your challenges, you have to face your karma, you have to face the karmic challenge that is there as a soul. You see, we are here to learn something, right? And so whatever modality that is, but in particularly Reiki, because I've worked with it, so I know Reiki will make you face your challenges. It will not make you run away from your challenges. That's why there are not many Reiki grandmasters. They are there, but and whoever is there, they have been through a lot, and maybe they've even stopped practicing Reiki and they're practicing another healing modality. It's just that they say that we do Reiki, but when you are there in that session, they might be doing completely something different. And the reason being is this: Reiki will want to kill your ego, and when that happens, the ego will start to resist. And when the ego starts to resist, all the types of self-doubts and negative thinking begins. But why does the ego want to do this? It does not want to die. This is the maya, or the illusion that we are in. The ego doesn't want to die. It thinks that if it dies, then nobody will take heed to it. But the ego is there because it's trying to save us from shame or negativity or guilt. That's why it's there, you see. But if you are above the ego, then you can control your actions the way you want. But we have to face this, right? The ego needs to face this, but it doesn't let you, because it's like if it doesn't want to look small in front of another being or another soul or another type of energy. So we have to heal that particular area of ourselves. But the healing with the ego and the healing with other issues, like our healing with chakra, is slightly different. You have to take the ego in a very different approach. So we are going to do a small awareness kind of meditation. Well, it is a meditation, but it's more or less teaching you how to be aware of yourself. So let us begin. So what is the ego? Is it the body, mind, or spirit? What is this body? What is this body? Is this body a body, or is it a mind, or is it a spirit? What is it? You see? And who are you? Who are you? Are you the body? Are you the ego? Are you the mind? Are you the spirit? Who are you? This is the question that we need to ask ourselves. Who are we? Who am I? Am I the ego? Am I the spirit? Am I the body? Am I a soul? In this world, when we are born, we are given a name. And so, are you the name? For example, if your name was XYZ and if you were called ABC, would you respond to that person calling you ABC? So the name is there to identify ourselves in this world. So imagine if we didn't have an identification, then would you have responded if somebody would have called you? And so where is all this conditioning coming from? Why should it be there? Is it there because it needs we need to communicate with one another? Look at our eyes. Our eyes can see so many things. It is registering so many things, and yet our eyes and our body, our mind, our intellect, it all works in a certain way. And so how can we actually make it work for us? Look at the eyes, right? How can we make it work for us? We don't actually tell or instruct the eyes what to see. They see what they see. So who is it that is registering all these things that the eyes are seeing? Or what is it that is registering all this, what my eyes is seeing or your eyes is seeing? What is it that is telling our brain what we are seeing? We don't instruct our hands to move when we speak. It moves automatically. So what is that thing that is making your hands move? When you want to go and use the bathroom, you don't force your body to do whatever it's going to be doing over there. It knows what it's supposed to do, right? Or you never learnt, nobody taught you how to do it, right? How to pee or how to excrete. The body knows its function. What is it that is making the body do these functions, right? So when we learn Reiki, we are actually trying to find this spirit or item or thing or being that is making you move. And this is what is scaring people away. That is why the doubts are increasing. That is why people don't practice Reiki for a long period of time. And that this is because it is making you ascend to a certain point whereby you can now differentiate the body, the mind, the spirit, the soul at all levels. It is making you self-aware of yourself, of the real self, not the image that has been created for the society to know who you are and what you do, what your businesses are, or what your work, what your name is, how you look in the ID or your passport or whatever. It doesn't matter. What Reiki is making you do or making you understand and making you aware is the person behind the steering wheel, or rather behind the eyes, behind the heart, behind the brain, behind the soul. What is this being that is inside? And so ego purposefully creates more maya or illusion so that you don't find this self, because then it will say, my boss knows everything, what is the job of mine then? And so it will always create more self-doubts in your journey. And as a healer, when you become a healer or when you are receiving a healing, it is very important to understand this concept, because this way you will be aware of what is happening within your being. So for my students that learn from me, and when you do these meditations that I have been showing you, they are actually taking you to this point of awareness. And so there will be some times when you will not like your master, or you will not like the art, or you will not like yourself. And so these doubts that will arise at that time, you have to be very careful and not let it pull a fast one on you, right? Because the reason why you came to me to learn was because you wanted to know what Reiki is and how it's going to help you ascend. And this is part of the journey as a soul. For ascending or for being a higher version of yourself, we must practice self-awareness. And self-awareness will increase when you practice Reiki. Why? Because Reiki is energizing your body into a higher vibratory level. So the gross thinking is not going to help you. It's going to make you think as a whole. It's going to make you think not just for yourself, end of the day. It will make you think for everybody. And this is a plus point of Reiki energy healing, because it's the only energy healing modality that will make you grow spiritually, with Lama Fera as an additional energy art. But Reiki is the core. End of the day, whether you do Lama Fera or you do Reiki, it is still the energy, the key that is there, that is helping you at a higher vibration. So for those who are practicing Reiki, especially when you are practicing it with me, with the meditations that we are doing, you have to be very careful and be aware and mindful of how it's going to trigger your ego and your mentality. Because if you're aware, then you will continue to stay in your path and grow. Otherwise, you will stagnate and you will not like the steps you took, and you will beat yourself mentally and negatively against this whole situation. And so always watch this video whenever you feel down after a healing, because it will make you motivated again and make you grow more stronger, willful, more in the will, in the heart, in the soul, in the mind, and you will be a better person. So be aware of yourself and your surroundings and your thoughts, and try to figure out what is going on. If you must, you can write it on a piece of paper, all the negative thoughts you are having and why you are having them, and try to do the shadow work that's there. You've seen it on the internet, on many YouTube files. They call it shadow work. You do it. It's a very nice concept to get to the root problem of your problem. But you have to be brutally honest with yourself. You cannot say one part of the mind is thinking something else and you write something else just to run away from it. So you've got to be very, very brutally honest. Even if it's a very negative thought about yourself, you've got to write it, because in that writing only you are healing yourself, because you are identifying the negative parts of you, the negative aspects of your thinking, and this will help you heal those areas of life so that you can outgrow all those things that that is holding you back in your current life, in your current situation. So I hope this video helps you out, and let us meet again in the next video or in the next class. Thank you for watching my videos, subscribing and sharing.